Hi everyone, my name is Dylan Bauer, and I am an artist in resident at Art with a Heart in Healthcare. Art with a Heart is a non-profit that provides group and bedside art sessions to children and adults and in the hospital setting. We have been around for almost 20 years and have the privilege of working with thousands of patients. Today I am going to show you how to make a piece by world-renowned artist Alexander Calder. You'll just need paper, pencil, and markers. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see you there. Hello everyone, Dylan here. Like I said in the intro video, we're doing this piece today by Alexander Calder, who is an American sculptor who painted, did costume design, and jewelry. So here's the piece. I found a white piece of paper and taped off my edges just so I can get a clean border with these background lines. It's up to you. You don't have to. You can do it exactly like this if you like. There's no shame in that. So here it is. Just need paper, pencil, and these couple of markers. You can change the colors if you like, so you don't have to do orange and red and yellow and blue. You can get purple, pink, green. The colors are up to you. The only thing I would suggest is having at least a black marker for the outlining, because that is key for this piece and especially for these lines. If you want to do rainbow lines, you could do that too. So you could do red, orange, yellow, and so on. But if you wanted to make it look exactly like this, the black is fine as well. So let me move this out of the way now and get my actual piece of paper. All right, so with every good drawing, you want to start very light. You don't want to push down super hard because we are going to trace over the pencil lines, so you don't need to push down that hard as well. So I'm just going to start with the first shape. I'm going to put it over here. So like I said, just draw very lightly. You don't need a ruler because in his piece, this piece to be exact, wasn't that perfect anyway. So you don't really need a ruler. Just like I said, just start very, very light. Okay, so I'm just making the triangle shapes. So I'm going to make a line diagonal that way and a line diagonal that way. And what you can do is you can kind of like use your pencil as like a measuring device. So if you want to get exact, you can. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to see. Perfect. All right. And then I'm just going to fill in these empty spaces. Use my eraser. Kind of clean that up a little bit. So yeah, I'll be sharing fun facts with this piece, like in other of my videos, and showing you guys some of his other work. So from this point, I'm going to start. I'm going to bring it outwards. And then I'm going to make a diagonal line, kind of connecting and making this kind of weird pyramid shape. Okay. So originally, Alexander Calder is a sculptor. That's what he did mainly throughout his career with sculpture. His father called him the garbage man growing up because he would always show up at home with, he showed up at home with like pebbles and string and other weird and odd materials to make pieces of art, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to go over here, right across, and make my other kind of pyramid. And you can make these shapes different, so you can make them smaller, bigger, it's up to you. You don't have to do as many as the ones that you saw on my original piece. So I'm just doing all my kind of pyramid shapes first. And I've been having patients ask me recently how to do draw dimensional stuff, and that's why I kind of chose this piece as well, just in case any of them are watching or is going to watch, just so they know how to do these kind of pyramid shapes. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to leave a big amount of space over here for a circle. So I'm going to go up here. slanted, very, very light. Yeah, sculpture was his forte. He started making art when he was 11 years old. I ask a lot of kids these days, like when they start, because it's usually different. I started very young, but it couldn't really tell what anything was until I was like 8 or 9 years old. So I was very expressive and abstract, you can say, as a little one, up until I was 9. I'm just going to do these circles at the top. So I'll make a circle over here. These don't have to be perfect as well. I know how hard it is sometimes to make a perfect circle, but they do not have to be perfect. Because in his piece, they're definitely not perfect. They're kind of wonky a little bit. I'll draw another circle over here. Another one over here. He was influenced by a lot of things growing up. I'll show you the picture soon. He was inspired by like the circus. So one of his first sculptural pieces was like a wooden structures of a circus, tents and circus animals and clowns and tight ropes, just like everything you would see at a circus pretty much. So he was inspired by the circus at first. And then as he moved on in his career, he started making, he started the kinetic and mobile art movement. So what I mean by that is he hung up stuff from like the ceiling and they were able to move with like the slightest gust of wind and movement of people in the galleries. Some would be spinning because they'd be attached with like a string. So it's very, very cool. All right, I'm gonna jump over here, make another pyramid. Lots of pyramids. Just all different kind of angle pyramids. You don't want them all to look the same. That's one thing he mastered with this piece, is they're not all the same. They're all different.
Interesting. I'm reading here that Marcel Duchamp was the guy who coined the term mobiles to refer to Calder's kinetic sculptures.
Yes, yeah.
So like that whole term that we use comes from that.
Yes, and Marcel Duchamp, he actually was one of the first ones to also show movement in paintings as well. So there's this piece, I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Staircase?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's awesome. Like I would definitely check that out if you guys get a chance, because he made this so that it looks like the person is actually walking down the stairs with like several layers of legs and feet. It's very, very cool.
It sounds so scary, but it's
yeah, exactly. There's also a photographer, I can't remember his name. He took like lots and lots of pictures of a guy riding a horse, showing like the movement. I think the objective was to show that the horse doesn't actually, can't remember if it's actually touched the ground or not even when they're jumping in the air, galloping. I can't remember, but that he also showed movement. You'll have to look it up because I can't remember the title of it, but it was very cool. Okay, so I'm gonna add one more period down here, or pyramid structure, but it's not gonna be the whole thing. So I'm just gonna make this kind of half triangle and then another line behind it. And then there we go. The next thing I'm gonna do is add the color, and I'm gonna let that dry and show you guys some examples after the color, and then we'll finish it off with like the black outlining, just so that they don't mix. Because what I realized with this piece, I did all the black first and then I added color, and it kind of smeared some of the black in my colors in some parts. So we're gonna do the black outlining last, which is very important with this type of thing and painting as well. So let me start with red. And like I said, you can choose whatever colors you'd like. You don't have to do red. This marker. I may have to get another marker.
What do you need Red?
Yeah, another red marker.
See if I can find you something here.
I'll take a break and I'll do the yellow then. Oh, perfect. All right. Here's some red. Much better. Thank you, Matt.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
Go team.
Oh, much better. Much better. Okay. At first, I was thinking it was the paper, and I was like, oh boy. But it is the marker. Okay. I'll jump over here and do this one red. Yeah, markers, I tend to not use markers a lot when I make art, just because I've messed up so many things with it saying the cap color is this when it's really not once you apply it to the paper. Sometimes when you apply markers to the paper, it's a lot darker than the cap color. So I think I was doing like a character, and it was like a skin color like this, and I found the marker that matched up, and I applied it to the paper, and it turned the guy orange. So that was interesting. All right, now I'm gonna do the red parts of the pyramids. If you wanted to do this in like a painting, I think this was a print that he did. So he did printmaking as well. I forgot to say that. So that's printmaking is pretty much printing before printers were actually made. Very old school. Some had to like etch into plates and carve and stuff like that to make prints back then, which I've done, and it's very, very fun if you have the right equipment. Very old technique of printing. Alexander Calder has multiple giant sculptures across the globe. What I found out that was really cool, and I'll show you guys a picture to remind you. So he was actually commissioned to do a painting on an airline. So he has a mural on an airline. I think it was like a South America airline. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it went to South America a lot. But he painted his kind of style on the airplane, which is really cool. Very vibrant.
I've never imagined, like, what kind of paint you use to cover exposure to UV rays and wind at 30,000 feet. Like, normally when you paint a mural, they're like, oh, how's this going to stand up to sun damage or whatever? But
Exactly.
like, I never thought about, ooh, well, how's this going to survive?
In the air.
Yeah, flight in the lower atmosphere.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be pretty terrifying too to paint on an airline. I wanted to see how long it took him, but I couldn't find how long it took him to paint on the side of or both sides of the airline, which would be cool to know. Tried finding it. All right, now I'm doing the yellow parts. All the yellow parts. Yeah, and then once we add our black outline to these, it's gonna like really make these things look really cool. This is the kind of style that I like doing. So the first thing I learned as a kid was making, well, the first kind of 3D dimensional type thing that I was taught was the cube. And so like once I learned how to make the cube, I was drawing it like on everything. And my teachers are getting so mad because I like make all these cubes everywhere, all over my homework and test papers and stuff like that. So I loved making the cube growing up, and then I started incorporating it into my art as well. So I love abstract geometrical pieces of art. So when I saw this piece, I was like, I need to do this. So I was very, very happy that I was able to find this artist. He was a contemporary artist, so I was wanting to do a pop art artist, but I found this guy, which is kind of like pop art, it looks like in a way. So I'm going to do blue now, do all the blue parts. So I'm going to do this pyramid over here. I like this blue a lot more than the other blue that I used. I felt like the other one was way too dark, And then you couldn't really see the black outlines with it either. So I found this kind of lighter blue Lagoon Crayola marker. I'm gonna do this one over here. And I just like how this blue looks near the yellow even more than the other blue. I like all blues, but this is probably my favorite kind of blue. Blue that's mixing in with like a little bit of green. I'm gonna do this guy over here.
$100,000 for painting that plane.
$100,000.
In 1973.
1973. Wow, he has definitely been. Definitely. I didn't realize that's around that time period, 1973. It's cool.
It was a little bit more money back then.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Now I know I only have one orange circle. If you want to make like another one, you can. But I'm just gonna stick to one orange circle. With markers too, you kind of want to cover an area in like one big swoop. So if you keep on going over and over and over again with the marker, it makes it a lot darker. And depending on the paper that you're using, it may tear it. So I try like going once and then going back and like filling in the little areas that I missed. So you want to cover more space. All right, so I'm gonna let these guys dry and then I'll come back and we'll outline with the black. All right, let me pull up some of these pictures for you guys to see. Just so when you look up his name, Alexander Calder, you'll definitely know who it is. All right, here we go. All right, so here is a painting that he did. So it's a nice abstract painting with all the same kind of colors, yellow, reds, orange, and blues with some black. This is one of his sculpture pieces. So this is what I'm talking about, pieces that hang from like the ceiling and move with the slightest gust of wind or movement of the people walking around the gallery. Here's a little floor sculpture. Very, very simplistic and clean kind of sculpture work. Here's another one. There is string. So the string is on those little loops right there so that they're able to like move around in the gallery. So here's like another kind of kinetic mobile art. He did a lot of these kind of portraits and he hung with a string from the ceiling.
Reminds me of blind contour drawing.
Yeah, so that's another cool thing I like doing. So that's something you can do, guys, when you're at home. Is like you can look at a picture of like a family member or sibling and kind of like close your eyes, or you don't really have to close your eyes, not look at the paper and try drawing without looking at the person. It's really cool effect. So it's like blind contour with like wiring. Here's one of his super giant sculptures that he has. I don't know where this one exactly is, but here's an example. Here's one with a fish, and this is like what his father was talking about. He would walk home every day with these kind of things in his pockets, like broken pieces of glass, little mechanical things. Let's see what else we can find. It's kind of like those I Spy books. There's like things in here, beads and little weird odd things. Yes.
I like that one.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love it. Here's another kind of floor piece sculpture. This kind of thing is balancing on top of this point, so it kind of moves a little bit too, which is really cool. Here's another kind of, this is a print. So this is what I was talking about before. Printers, he had to do all these colors separately. I think he used silk screen print. And here is the airplane. Is the airplane that he painted. So pretty intimidating seeing that big old space, and it's both sides, double-sided. So he did this side and then he did the other side. And then here's this wooden circus sculpture. I'll zoom in so you can see what I mean. So like a little person with like an American flag, the ring that all the horses and the animals walk around, the clowns. Here's a little, I forgot what they call those guys that like is in charge of the circus. Ringleader. You got some people on the tightrope up here, little acrobats. and some really cool things. So I definitely suggest looking at his artwork, and that is it. So let's get back to our piece now that the colors should be dry. So now I'm gonna use black. So you can use another color, like another dark color, like purple if you want, but I like the black outline. So now I'm just kind of doing all the lines that I start out with, the pencil, and just going over them with the black. Just to make it cleaner. So I'm doing all the pyramids first. All the pyramids. And some of the sides are black too. So that's what these guys are right here with the empty spaces. Those sides are black. Whoops. Sometimes you gotta kind of like turn the paper around when you're doing this just to make it perfect. So that helps as well. And since I don't have like a background color, if you see some of that pencil showing, you can go back with like one of those nice erasers and erase all the pencil marks. I'll make sure to do that before I'm done, just so it's...
Try to make sure that the marker is dry first. Or...
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure the marker is dry. Almost forgot. Alright, I'm going to do this side black. So non-color. There we go. Now I'm going to do this guy right here, black. Straight lines are pretty intimidating, but luckily with most of the artists back then, they weren't that great with straight lines either, so it works out for our advantage with these pieces. If you look at some of Pablo Picasso's pieces, every time I work with somebody, doesn't matter if it's a kid or an adult, and they're like saying, oh, I don't know, I'm not really that great of a drawer, I don't think I could do it. I usually show them pieces of Pablo Picasso work, and it kind of calms them down a little bit.
Yeah, we've got some, we keep some books in the behavioral units like Picasso, Seurat, some Rouault, George Rouault or whatever his name was.
Mm-hmm.
And like you see how rough and sort of emotional the lines and the textures are and stuff, and
exactly.
It sort of takes some of the pressure off people that do things perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that usually makes them sweat a little bit less than what they were when I was like, okay, let's get started drawing. They're like, I don't know what to draw.
Yeah, I found a lot of the key with not just visual art, but also even music is like consistency. Mm-hmm. Like, so what if your rhythm is a little wacky if you play it over and over again? It becomes an actual rhythm, And the same with art. If you have like one really heavily textured, worked out area, do it all over the piece. What the heck? It's a piece of art. Let it sort of like have a cohesive appearance to it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, whenever I can't think of something to draw, I usually turn to abstract and just doodle and make weird geometric shapes and stuff kind of like this actually. This is kind of like the stuff that I do when I don't know what to draw, as I do these kind of weird geometrical shapes. So right now I'm kind of outlining my circles first with black, and then to give like this effect, many pop art artists use this back in the day, and there's a lot of retro 80s art too. They add this kind of thick black outline, as you can see. That's pretty much like the shadow of the circles. They use those pure black kind of outlining to create shadows. So I'm going to do that to my circles. So I'm just going to go around one side with the black and kind of like trace around, kind of make it parallel and colored in black, just so it looks like it's a shadow. Same thing on the other one. I'm going to kind of trace around and add this kind of black shadow on all my circles, just on one side. Just one side. It's important to do one side because then you're just going to have a really thick outline circle, which is no good. So just one side. Do this side. You can change it up too. So since I'm doing it on right side of this, you can do it on the left side if you want to be a rebel and change it up. Okay, I'm gonna do this side black. My favorite part too of this piece was the lines, because if I didn't add those lines, it'd just be a bunch of floating shapes. Well, I guess some of them look floating, but this kind of gives like a ground adding that part. And I didn't want to add paint to this just because these are Crayola washable markers, and sometimes when you add paint around markers it kind of bleeds, and
Water-based,
yeah, they're water-based, so definitely don't use watercolor if you want to do background color. So maybe for the background, if you want to add a color, let's see what you can do. You can use color pencils, probably just color pencils. Crayon would probably take way too long and make the surface not look so great either. So maybe color pencils would be best if you wanted to add a background color after this. Alright, so the next part after you're done outlining all the shapes is you want to create this kind of ground for the shapes to kind of sit on top on, and then you can see that they're kind of floating off the ground in a way. So that's why these lines are there, like an abstract ground. So we're gonna start from the top and work our way down. So the top lines are gonna be closer. As you get down, they kind of space more and more apart. So I'm just gonna start, and these lines don't have to be perfect, so do not take out a ruler. Whatever you do, don't take out a ruler, because you don't need one and you don't want to, because it's not, it kind of adds more effect if the lines aren't straight, perfectly straight. So yeah, it'll add more character, exactly. So definitely do not use a ruler. So I'm gonna start up here. Actually, let me get a better black marker.
Sharpie?
Yeah, maybe just the Sharpie marker. Or if there's another black marker in there.
That's huge.
Is that one black?
This is Crayola, though.
Yeah, let me see. It may just be the one that I grabbed.
Oh, you have an
Let me
old one?
see. Maybe. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, so start making my line. Does not have to be perfect. It can be kind of wobbly. So bring it from wherever you're starting it. So I would definitely leave some space if you did not tape your borders like I did. So leave some space. You don't want to bring them all the way across from both sides. Sorry I didn't mention that before if you already did it. But leave a little bit of space on both sides. So I'm going to go down.
I like how you taped off the edges. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I wanted to see what the effect would be if I taped off my edges. So
I like doing that with paintings, like especially watercolors.
exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to give myself a better space to work in by adding the tape. Okay. If you want it, if you feel like you're starting the line too perfect, you can kind of like get a little wobbly to make it not so perfect if you want. So I'm gonna do one more close line before I start adding space. All right, so now I'm gonna start adding some space. So I'm gonna move that a little bit further from the other lines. Whoops, did not give myself that much space on that one. Okay. We almost got it. I'll add one more line. Let's see. No, I think I won't add one more line. I'll just keep it like this. I think that's fine. Okay. So let's see if I want. I'll add one more line up here at the top, just a little tiny bit closer. Tiny bit closer.
Yeah.
There we go.
Lines come together, it looks like they're going back in space.
Exactly, yes. And that's kind of what he was trying to object by starting it really close at the top and then spacing more and more apart as you get to the bottom to give that cool visual effect. Alrighty, and so if you did tape up your borders, what you want to do is a trick that I learned so you don't rip your paper, is peeling a little bit of it. Peel a little bit of it and use like your pointer finger to kind of push the tape back. You don't want to rip it like that because then you'll take the paper with it. So use your pointer finger and kind of push the tape back. This tape has been on here for a while, so if you're hearing that, it's kind of ripping the paper a little bit. But with you guys, if you just did it, it won't make that sound.
Is that just regular masking tape?
Yeah, it's just regular masking tape.
Oh, wow.
So you just want to push with your finger. Yeah, you're starting to see a little bit of the paper rip, but at least you're not having like big chunks of paper like rip off of it. But I had this tape on here since like 9 in the morning, so it kind of adhered to it a lot stronger than 30 or an hour. Okay. That kind of got weird up there. Yep, just use your pointer finger, kind of pushing the tape back. It's the most effective way. And there you go. Alright, so if you want to make it really, really fancy, since this was a print, so what artists did with prints back then is they would have the title in the middle in quotes, and then they'd have their signature off here to the side, and then they'd have like the number. So if you loved making this first piece and want to do another one with like different shapes, more different colors, different background, so since this is the first one, I'm going to do 1/1, and if you decide to make another one, you do 2/2, and so on and so on. So and then the title, let's see, I'll just call it Shapes. You can be creative with your title if you want. And you don't want to use a pen when doing this, you want to use a pencil. I got yelled at by my printmaking teacher because I used pen, because as time goes, the pen, if you start with like a black, it'll start turning green and greener and greener and nasty. So you want to use a pencil for signing these types of things.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yes, so here it is, Alexander Calder inspired piece. I hope you guys had a great time. If you did follow along and make a piece, feel free to post it in the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have like other things you want to know about them, I've definitely done a lot of research, so you can always ask that too. And if you want to see more videos, if you liked hearing my fun facts, you can go on our Facebook page, Art with a Heart and Health here, and go under our videos, and you can see some other ones that I've done with more fun facts that you can go tell your teachers when you get to school the next day for bonus points or whatever you guys get for that kind of stuff. But you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.